Chapter 31. Coach Taylor divided us up into team offense and team defense. After 10 or 15 minutes, we switched teams. Cory and Laura played on team offense at first. I was on team defense. I readied myself, clenched my jaw, tightened every muscle. I was totally psyched. I leaned into position and stretched my arms out at my sides. No one was going to get past me. No one. Cory started as quarterback for team offense. On the first play, he handed the ball to Gray Haddocks. Gray burst through the line for a few yards. Then he was swarmed on and tagged by 3 or 4 players on my team. On the next play, Cory dropped back to pass. I shot through the line, waving my hands above my head. I grabbed him around the waist. "You're tagged!" Coach Taylor blew his whistle. He pointed at me. "No tackling." I shrugged my shoulder pads. "That was a tag," I said. I felt good. Taylor saw how enthusiastic I was, and he saw me really make a good play on Cory. 1 point for Lee Hargrove. The coach whistled for us to start to play again. This time, Cory kept the ball and ran to the other side away from me. I rocketed across the field, reached out for him, and just missed him. He ran for a touchdown. Score 1 for lucky Duckworth. Cory's team took the ball on offense again. Some kids had gathered on the sidelines to watch the contest. I leaned into my defensive stance. I readied myself. "Focus," I told myself. "Stay alert. Focus. You can do this. You can win this." Cory tossed the ball to Laura. She tore through the line, zigzagged like crazy, and ran for about 20 yards. Not bad, especially for a girl. There were 4 girls in the game. 4 girls trying for the scholarship. All of them had done pretty well in bowling and tennis, but Laura was the best of the 4. Did she have a chance to win and go to sports camp? Well, yeah, she had a chance. Of course she had a small chance. Did I still have a chance? If I made a few more really awesome plays, the answer would be yes. I'd score some points with Coach Taylor for playing well. And if I could score enough sportsmanship points and most improved points, I could definitely win the prize. I tensed myself, forced myself to breathe slowly, steadily, kept my eyes moving. Superstar time, all-pro time, killer time. On the next play, Cory kept the ball. He cut left, then cut right. He had the ball tucked tightly under his arm and his helmet lowered, and he was thundering in a straight line, right at me. I stuck out my arms, lowered my helmet, tightened my stance, ready to tag him, ready for him as he ran toward me, ready. Oh, was that me shrieking like that? Did I hear him shrieking too? The pain rocketed from my head down my body, a tidal wave of throbbing, hammering pain. Everything went black, even before I hit the ground. Chapter 32. What happened? My voice came out in a hoarse whisper. I struggled to see, but everything was a blur. It hurt to raise my head. I lowered it to the grass. Someone had removed my helmet. It lay a few feet from me. "Am I alive?" I croaked. Coach Taylor appeared above me. "I think you're okay. Let's try to sit you up." He pushed me from behind. I groaned, but the pain was starting to fade. The ground tilted down. The trees beyond the playground wouldn't come into focus. I saw Cory sitting across from me, his legs spread. His helmet was off, and he kept shaking his head. "Whoa," he murmured. "Whoa." "What happened?" I asked Coach Taylor. "Was it an earthquake or something?" "You two butted heads," Taylor said. "You went down, and Laura picked up the ball and scored a touchdown." I squinted past him. Laura stood in a line with the other players. She still had the football in her hands. Everyone looked really frightened. No one made a sound. "We have to check you two out for concussions," Taylor said. "Do you think you can walk back into the school?" It took a while to stand up. My head throbbed. I was totally dizzy. Cory took a few staggering steps. I could see he was dizzy too. Coach Taylor helped us both into the locker room. "Get changed," he said. "I'm taking you to a doctor to get you checked out." Cory and I grunted replies. Sorry, guys, Taylor said. That collision was really bad luck. He turned and headed back outside. Bad luck? The word rang in my spinning, pulsing head. Bad luck. Well, I knew why Cory had bad luck. I gave it to him by kissing the vulture claw. I turned his claw into a bad luck charm. But why did I have such bad luck? I had thrown the claw in the trash. Do you have your phone? Cory asked. He rubbed his eyes. I want to call my mom and tell her we're going to see the doctor. Sure, I said. I pulled my backpack out of the locker. I unzipped it and reached inside. I knew my cell phone was somewhere near the bottom. I fumbled around, pushing stuff out of the way. My hand wrapped around something tucked between two textbooks. I pulled it out and stared in shock at my vulture claw. Chapter 33. The doctor checked out Cory and me and said we were okay. No concussions. He said we might have headaches for a while. My headache got worse. I couldn't stop thinking about the claw. Of course, one question kept repeating in my mind. How did it get from the trash can to the bottom of my backpack? It was all I could think about, and I couldn't come up with an answer. I was still thinking about it on the morning of the awards assembly at school. Our school has the awards assembly in the auditorium every spring near the end of the school year. All kinds of awards are given out: sports award, academic awards, public service awards. There's even an award for the best smile. It was a tense morning for me because the winner of the sports camp scholarship was also being announced. Cory and I sat together near the back of the audience. We were both too tense to talk. I knew I hadn't played well enough to win, but maybe I stood a chance. Maybe I scored points for desire and enthusiasm and sportsmanship and improvement. Those could put me over the top. Cory and I kept glancing at each other as the awards were handed out and kids came to the stage to accept them. I could see that he was just as stressed as I was. We sat twitching and squirming through the mayor's trophy for the most litter picked up on the playground, and the award for the loudest singer in music class. I couldn't sit still. My hands were sweaty and cold. My stomach kept growling and doing flip-flops. I nearly jumped when Miss Lincoln, our principal, announced it was time to reveal the sports camp scholarship winner. I held my breath. I glanced at Cory. He had gone pale. We have 3 finalists, Miss Lincoln said. I'd like to call all 3 to the stage now. I still hadn't taken a breath. I was too tense to breathe. The principal read the list of names into the microphone. Cory Duckworth, Laura Grodin, and Lee Hargrove. Yes! Oh, I let my breath out in a long whoosh. My legs trembled as I climbed up from my seat and started down the long aisle to the stage. Cory stopped me in the wings. Here, take this, he said, for luck. He pulled his vulture claw off and draped it around my neck. No, please, I gasped. I tried to shove it back to him. You need it more than I do, Cory said. You're my best friend. I know how much you want this. Maybe it'll bring you luck. I frantically tried to hand the claw back to him. He didn't know that I had kissed it. He was trying to do a nice thing. He didn't know it was bad luck now. Cory, take it back, I cried. Please. I glanced up at the stage. Miss Lincoln was staring down at us. She didn't look happy. Cory, Lee, what's your problem? She demanded. You both have stage fright? The whole auditorium burst into laughter. I had no choice. I followed Cory onto the stage. The bad luck claw hung heavy on my neck. No way to give it back to him. So there we were, Cory, Laura, and I, standing in a line on stage in front of the whole school. Talk about awkward. I couldn't decide where to put my hands. Finally, I jammed them into my jeans pockets. The vulture claw dangled over my chest. I wanted to rip it off and toss it away. But how could I? Cory wouldn't understand. He would never forgive me. The principal was saying something about how sorry she was that she had only one scholarship to hand out. I couldn't really hear her. I couldn't hear anything over the beating of my heart. Just tell us who won, I thought. Don't make a speech. Please tell us the winner. Was Cory as nervous as me? I turned to him and gasped. I took a staggering step back. As I stared in horror, Cory's face, his whole body started to change. Black feathers poked out of his arms. Feathers uncurled all over his skin. His body shifted and grew taller. His neck stretched as his head appeared to tighten like a fist. His blue eyes disappeared into his face. His mouth vanished too, vanished under the black feathers, and a long curved beak poked out of his head. His jeans dropped away. I could see his feathery legs. Thick gray and black feathers covered his whole body. His arms folded up, folded into wide, flapping wings. Cory opened his beak in a long, hoarse honk. His body grew until he loomed over me. I stood frozen in his shadow, the shadow of a gigantic vulture. He squawked again. The sound sent chills to the back of my neck. Then Cory lowered his vulture head. Two tiny black eyes glared at me from over the long curved beak. The beak opened and snapped at my face. Snapped, snapped again, ripped at my cheeks. He raised his huge wings and dove for my throat. I raised both arms to shield myself. Did he plan to tear me apart? I staggered back. I opened my beak and let out a shrill squall of rage. I raised my wings and, huh? I lowered my gaze. I shrieked my surprise. I was a vulture too. I had changed without even realizing it, without even feeling it. I narrowed my eyes at Cory the vulture. My feathers stood on end. I stretched my wings back and lowered my head, ready to attack. He dove at me, but I dodged to the side. I drove my sharp beak deep into his throat. He raised his head in a hoarse cry of pain. Then he leaped high and shot his talons into my feathered chest. It knocked me off balance. I toppled onto my side and he dove on top of me. We wrestled on the stage floor, squawking and tearing at each other. I could hear the horrified screams and cries of the kids in the auditorium. This is going to be an assembly they'll never forget, I thought. Cory ripped at my chest feathers with his sharp talons. I gave a hard twist and shoved him off me. Then I opened my beak and aimed for his throat. Got to kill him, I told myself. Only way to win this fight. Kill. Kill. Chapter 34. 1 week later, Cory and I were walking down my street. School was over and we were still getting used to having the whole day free. It was a warm day. The air smelled like fresh cut grass. Bright green leaves were starting to open on the trees. Cory laughed and shook his head. I can't believe you and I had a wrestling match on the auditorium stage. In front of the whole school, I added. Did you see the look on Miss Lincoln's face? She was so shocked she froze. She couldn't move. I didn't see her, Cory said. I was too busy trying to fight you off. We both laughed. We had to laugh about it. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing. We actually tried to kill each other, I said. I totally thought you had turned into a giant vulture. How weird is that, Cory said. I didn't know why you were fighting me. I just thought you freaked out. We were lucky it was the last week of school, I said. Otherwise, we would have been sent home, suspended. We walked another block in silence. Some kids were tossing a frisbee in front of a house on the corner. Two dogs stood in the driveway, barking at each toss. How'd you get rid of that claw? Cory asked. Rode my bike to the other side of town and dropped them both in a sewer, I said. Huh, I gave you my claw. You tossed it away? Cory said. Your claw was bad luck too, I told him. Didn't you figure that out? They were both bad luck. Hey, there's Laura, he said, pointing. She stood at the bottom of her driveway. Next to her, I saw two suitcases, a rolled-up sleeping bag, and some other junk. She waved as Cory and I walked closer. How's it going? She called. We stopped at the edge of her driveway. I glanced down the street. You waiting for the sports camp bus? She nodded. I am so excited. Yeah, you're going to have fun, I said. I tried to sound cheerful. I didn't want her to think I was bitter about the whole thing. But Laura only won the scholarship because Cory and I fought on stage and were disqualified. The yellow camp bus rumbled up to us and stopped. A driver in a gray uniform climbed down and started to load Laura's stuff into the luggage compartment. Well, bye, she said. She started to the bus. See you in the fall. She started to climb on, then stopped. She turned to us with a grin. By the way, how'd those claws work out for you? Huh? I stared at her. You never figured out that I was the one who sent them to you guys? Laura asked, still grinning. No way, Cory and I cried together. She laughed. Before I sent them to you, I kissed them both. I kissed them all over. I knew you'd wear them, and I knew I'd have all the good luck. Cory blinked. You kissed them first? Then how come Lee and I had good luck for a while? Laura shrugged. Beats me. I guess the kisses just took a while to kick in. She turned to me. And I'll bet you never guessed that I pulled the claw from your trash can that night, and I stuck it in your backpack before the football game the next morning. I sighed. Nope, I never guessed. Well, I really wanted to win, Laura said. Sometimes you have to make your own luck, right? She climbed onto the camp bus. Bye, guys, she called. Have an awesome summer. Welcome back to the Hall of Horrors. Well, Lee, that was a strange story with an unhappy ending for you. Actually, I think you were lucky. Lucky that you and Cory didn't rip each other to shreds with your beaks and claws. Oh, but that was just a hallucination, right? Good luck charms can be very powerful. That's why I wear this black widow spider around my neck. So far, it's only bitten me twice. That's lucky, right? Thank you for bringing your story to me. I am the story keeper, and I will keep your story here where it belongs. You know, here in the Hall of Horrors, there's always room for one more scream.